But tonight we have to start again in the heart of darkness that is Afghanistan. The bloodshed in Kabul, the utter confusion of the evacuation efforts, the botched US and coalition abandonment of that country, its capital and its people to the Taliban and the terrorist and tribal leaders intent on the most bloodthirsty and extreme crimes against the West, against the innocents, against humanity. The Islamist group claiming to be behind this latest atrocity are an offshoot of Islamic State, and they've previously bombed a maternity hospital, killing mothers and babies. They bombed a maternity hospital. That's what you're dealing with. That's what has been unleashed anew in this country that's been a battleground for centuries. The mass of people looking to flee to the West, being protected and organised by US, Australian and other troops, proved another soft and inviting target for these monsters. More than 100 people are dead, including 13 US Marines. This is unspeakably evil, traumatic and tragic. A terror attack against the vulnerable, against those seeking to escape terrorism and against foreign soldiers risking their lives to help them. This comes in the middle of a chaotic evacuation of foreign nationals, including Australians, from Afghanistan, and the thousands of locals who have worked with them and fear retaliation if they can't get out. Our defence forces have been carrying out these brave missions, and the Brits and others have as well. But it's also been led by the US, and it's been precipitated by US decisions. That US President Joe Biden has bungled the departure is beyond question. No matter the varying positions on the strategic decision to go or stay, clearly it's been appalling for the people of Afghanistan and those helping them that the US has organised, or more to the point, failed to organise this exit, so that we see a shambolic, weak, dangerous and deadly episode. The blow to US standing is massive. The exposure of Joe Biden's apologetic diplomacy is crippling, and now, only now, is the president now talking about standing tough.
We will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay. We will respond with force and precision at our time, at the place we choose, in the moment of our choosing. Here's what you need to know. These ISIS terrorists will not win. We will rescue the Americans who are there. We will get our Afghan allies out, and our mission will go on. America will not be intimidated.
Too late. Unconvincing. Biden's been a Washington insider for half a century. He's a known quantity. He'll never change his spots. America's enemies, as we warned from the outset, are determined to test him, and he's failing. Besides, Biden's still withdrawing. So even as he has US troops leave Afghanistan, the president will be sending others in to root out Islamist terrorists, which you'll recall was the reason the US went in there in the first place 20 years ago. You know, this departure, this surrender has been a horror story unfolding in slow motion. Even just on this show, over recent months, the unfolding weakness of the Biden plan has been clear. By September this year, foreign troops will be out of Afghanistan. The latest war in that country will be over, but the hopes for lasting peace, security and democracy can't be high. We hope, perhaps against hope, that the people of Afghanistan can hold on to their chance of establishing security, stability and democracy. And of course, you look across to Afghanistan as US troops and others leave, lives are being lost and chaos looms large. None of this can be directly attributed to Joe Biden, of course, but much of it is designed to test a man perceived as a weaker and more predictable president than the volatile Donald Trump. And regardless, all of these issues are now on Biden's desk. And what matters is how he responds to them. We need him, I think around the world, we all need him to be strong and decisive. But the fear is that he's as feeble and as weak as he appears. Presumably, it could also then re-establish itself as a haven for international terrorists.
Well, that's because the Americans have done something that I think diplomatically is almost incomprehensible, and that is just walk straight out of Afghanistan without negotiating a peace settlement. I think that is a huge mistake to have been conducting the negotiations in Doha with the Taliban, but announcing they're going to leave by, it was September the 11th. I mean, you don't conduct negotiations and say, and I'm going to give up, by the way, if you don't reach an agreement with me by a particular time. It's never going to work. So I think that's been a huge mistake to walk out in that context.
Yeah, it is tragic, and we're going to watch what unfolds there with horror over coming months, I fear. Yeah, look, it's no good acting surprised now. It always looked disastrous. Now, Australia is done with its evacuation plans in Kabul now. More than 4,000 people were extracted by Australia over the past week, and more than 700 of those people are already in quarantine in our country. How lucky they are. With fears of a terror attack mounting last night, the Aussie diggers were lucky enough to be in the air, leaving Afghanistan when the terror bombings occurred, killing some of the very American soldiers they'd just been on the ground working with. The future of US, Australian, British and other visa holders and other people who've helped them left behind in Afghanistan is drastically uncertain now, and the political repercussions in the US are immense.
Well, it's so sad. It's probably, from the standpoint of military tactics and just embarrassment, the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to our country. We look like fools all over the world. We're weak. We're pathetic. We're being led by people that have no idea what they're doing. They take the military out, and then they say, now we'll bring out the people, and all of a sudden the Taliban walks in. We had the Taliban so under control, they wouldn't have moved without getting our approval.
Love Trump or hate him, who could disagree? I'll talk about this disaster and the implications later in the program with former SAS captain Andrew Hastie, who served in Afghanistan and is now the Assistant Defence Minister. He decided to join the Army in response to 9/11 20 years ago next month. What sort of commemorations, celebrations and horrors can we expect to see in Afghanistan on 9/11 this year? I fear it'll be sickening.